Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Sprint Ride Option Podcast. It might not have been the prettiest. It might not have been the most impressive. It might not have been the best. But the important thing is the San Francisco 49ers defeated the Dallas Cowboys yesterday. I am Andrew Pasquini. That is Jason Aponte. And this is the Sprint Ride Option Podcast, a podcast we do twice a week. And we're here to talk about that Niners win yesterday. Jason, most importantly, though, how you doing today?
Great. Getting ready to laugh at another team because the Rams and the Cardinals are currently playing. One of them will not be playing, and one of them will be catching all of the strays and all of the memes as we go forward. So real quick, a little bit of housekeeping before we move on. If you're new here, if you're not, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. A ton of content this week as we prepare for Green Bay week, and there's still a lot to talk about with this game, which I still haven't been able to wrap my head around fully, and it is about 24 hours since.
Yeah, I feel like that's how I felt about it too. And I mean, Jason, we went live right after the game with Rich and Jordan. We hung out for about an hour and talked, and I feel like that was kind of the vibe we had yesterday as well. It was just a like, what happened? How did the Niners win? It felt like because it was really a situation where the Niners, it felt like they pulled away early. They were going to walk and win the game, and then all of a sudden they didn't. And it was a weird finish to the game. I'm sure we're going to talk about it in a minute, but just a weird feeling overall with that game. I mean, and if the feel is there today.
Yeah, and there's so many ways to look at this game, and there's so many ways to dissect it, and it's a lot to talk about, right? Like, there's not just one singular way to think about it. There's not just one thing that you can point to, and as 49ers fans, this is it right here. This is like the encapsulation of what it is to, one, be a fan of a team that is quarterbacked by Jimmy Garoppolo, and also just a 49ers fan in general. Almost whatever can go wrong will go wrong, but they'll still find a way to make it interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, there's really three big things I think we could look at in this game. Two of them are positives for the Niners. One, not so much. I think the three big stories out of this game, and we could start with wherever you want, Jason. But to me, it's obviously Jimmy Garoppolo. That's always the story every game, no matter how we cut it. I don't know why. It's just how it is. DeMeco Ryans and the Niners defense, or the Cowboys absolutely shooting themselves in the foot more often than not. Where do you want to start? Because I think all three of those are very intriguing conversations, and large parts why the Niners won yesterday.
Let's start with Dallas. I don't want to hear crying anymore from their fan base or their players. Let me explain. The referees didn't do a thing to you but call penalties that they should have called. They weren't judgment call penalties. You clearly were false starting. You clearly were throwing guys to the ground. You clearly had a delay of game. You clearly don't know how the rule book works because you're supposed to hand the ball to the referee and have him spot it. So when Dak Prescott goes into his press conference and says, well, he was crying about them throwing stuff at the players until somebody told him that it was at the refs, and he said, oh, okay, that's cool. That's a shame on you moment, Dak Prescott. And that's for the first time you've lost your cool because you usually say all of the right things. Imagine getting mad at the refs and not the coach and not the players who didn't execute. An old school, old man football quote I'm going to use here. As a coach, you're either coaching it or allowing it to happen. And both of those fall on you. So I don't want to hear anything about the refs. The refs made no questionable calls. You false started, pre-snap penalty. Gregory or Lawrence wants to grab Brunskill and throw him to the ground, penalty. That's not a judgment call at all. So I don't want to hear it. They shot themselves in the foot because they are an undisciplined, not well-coached football team. Mm-hmm. I don't care how many stars you have. You are not disciplined well. And this all goes back. Victory lap time. I told you that Mike McCarthy was going to show up. I told you last week. I am going to be that I told you so guy. It was only a matter of time before Mike McCarthy lost a game for them. And he did. Thank you, buddy. And I'm happy that it happened this week because I did call for it last week. Big win for me amongst a year full of L's. I love it. I'm so happy.
Yeah, and actually, the thing Dak said, if it wasn't as serious as fans throwing things on the field, pretty funny response for him to change his answer like that to me. Obviously, you don't want to endorse fans throwing things on the field. But I thought it was pretty funny that he changed it like that. I think he meant it jokingly, but it's not something I think a face of a franchise like the Cowboys can joke about like that.
But the other thing is, too, is they gave him a chance to walk it back. They asked him again. That's the part. And he doubled down on it. So, no. He meant that.
Thank you for the donation, Jonathan. Jason, I think this is for you. Great job on Rob's show. It's refreshing to hear criticism on when we mess up. You guys don't disrespect our players like the other guy on YouTube. Boy, I wonder who he's talking about. We like that other guy, though. So we like that other guy, though. Yeah, so I went through the Cowboys penalties. And yeah, if they want to complain about bad calls, and I think a lot of Cowboy fans are like me, because you remember on the post-game show yesterday, I asked Rich if that, the rule and all that stuff. And I didn't realize that Dak got the snap off. I thought they just ruled it before he snapped it, but he snapped it. So, they didn't even mess up the rule or anything like that. It wasn't the ref got there late or anything like that. It was they snapped it with 0 seconds and spiked it with 0 seconds. But I went through the Cowboys penalties, 14 of them to be exact, 8 for 89 yards. And 4 of them stood out in particular because they had 4 big plays wiped out by penalties. And listen to these situations they're in. They're down 10-0 in the first quarter. Connor Williams gets called for a holding that wipes out a 32-yard play. So they're down 10-0. 32-yard play is a big play. They're down 23-10 in the third quarter. Lamb has an 18-yard catch on a 2nd and 20, but he was called for an illegal shift, which wipes out that big gain on a big play. And they ended up getting the first down on a 3rd and 1 because they got 24 yards on the 2nd and 25. Down 6 in the fourth quarter, Garoppolo throws an incomplete pass on a 3rd and 12. Pro Football Reference had Malik Hooker. ESPN called it Neville Gallimore was called for illegal hands to the face, giving the Niners a first down with 4 minutes remaining. They were able to chew 2 minutes off the clock after that. And then down 6 points with 1:38 on the Niners' last drive, Samuel had a no-yard run on a 2nd and 9, and Gregory was called for defensive holding, giving the Niners a new set of downs. So there's 4 penalties right there that wiped out big plays for the Cowboys that could have changed the momentum, that really helped the Niners. So if they want to complain about the refs, go ahead. I mean, that's a lot of fan bases do that. But when it comes down to it, look at when these penalties were called. These weren't bad calls. These were all straight penalties. And the Cowboys just chose to get called for penalties in the worst situations for them.
If you want any sequence to encapsulate the mess that the Dallas Cowboys are,
I know what you're going to say here.
Here it is. Fake punt. Punter sees Josh Norman in coverage. He cooks him too, because that's what people do. They see Josh Norman, they attack it. Sorry, I had to get that shot off. Yeah, and then the punting unit is on the field.
Why is the punting unit trying to snap on first down?
So then, wait. Oh, get off the field, get off the field. You get on the field. And then a delay of game. A clown car of how to run your team. And that right there is that Dallas Cowboys team in an absolute nutshell while they are coached by Mike McCarthy. Shout out to that PFF Elite subscription, though. Doing a real good job.
I just want to know, and we'll get Francisco your donation here in a second. Thank you. I just want to know how you have that big of a – because in what world, what team can you have any type of miscommunication to where your punting team thinks they're staying on the field on a first down? Like, what is that? How is that not just – your punting team is they get the first down. They're like, okay, we're done. We did our job. We're going to run off the field now. How does that happen? So it's really confusing. And yes, Jason, you very much said it. Mike McCarthy was going to cost the Niners at some point, or not the Cowboys. He helped the Niners yesterday. He going to cost the Cowboys at some point, and he did. Francisco, thank you for the donation. Even though the Niners dominated 3/4, the media just wants to talk about how the Cowboys almost blew it when they didn't deserve to come back. Niners win in Green Bay, and I think that's a good transition point.
Perfect.
Yeah, because I think there's a couple of ways we could transition here. Because I said on Friday, Jason, that Mike McCarthy is the Jimmy Garoppolo of the Cowboys. He's gonna mess it up at some point. You just kind of hope that it's not that bad. And look at this. The reason the Cowboys were able to come back, Jason Aponte, was an interception. It was an interception late in the third quarter. The Niners were up 2 scores. The Cowboys intercept Jimmy Garoppolo on a to be polite, a pretty bad pass. And that's not even mentioning the overthrow on Ayuk, and people are jumping through hoops to find ways to blame Brandon Ayuk on that play. I saw people saying he flattened out. He wasn't supposed to flatten out like that. There's a miscommunication. Jimmy Garoppolo was very decent in the first half, which is all the Niners need him to be. The second half, not the same story, and that was a large part why the Cowboys were able to come back. And Jason is laughing at the comments. I see it.
I'm sorry. And I didn't want to interrupt you because you definitely have a lot of good things to say. But here's the thing. This game should have been put away much earlier with just a little bit more offensive competency, right? Mm-hmm. As the Rams score a touchdown and take the lead here in this game. But yes, Jimmy Garoppolo hits that throw, which the blaze out, he ran it perfectly. He flattened it, and there's multiple examples of it from Atlanta to Marquise Goodwin running it in Green Bay. It's there. He flattened it. He missed him. Part of the Jimmy Garoppolo experience. But again, when you miss that throw, when you hit that interception, when you are not able to convert later on, a better team is going to make you pay. And that's probably the overarching theme going into this Green Bay game is Jimmy Garoppolo is not going to be able to get away with this 8-pass thing. They're not doing that again. That's not happening this week. So what Jimmy Garoppolo is going to show up, and that is the ride that is Jimmy Garoppolo. This is Jimmy Garoppolo every single week, basically. There's stretches of great play where he doesn't turn the ball over, but for the large amount of time, Jimmy Garoppolo is this guy. And that's not a knock at him, and that's not an opinion, okay? It is an objective fact that this is Jimmy Garoppolo. You take the good with the bad because no matter what happens during the game, somehow the team wins when he's on the field. And again, we can say that again this week. Obviously, there's context and nuance to that, but at this point, it is what it is because he's the starter, and he's going to be the guy going forward in the rest of this playoff.
Yeah, and a point I made yesterday on the post-game show, the Niners don't need much from Jimmy Garoppolo. We saw it in the first half. He was fine in the first half. He did nothing wrong in the first half. And the Niners had what? What was the lead at half? 2017 something, 16-7. And the Niners were in control of the game. The Niners come out after the half, and they're able to get on the board again after an interception. So really quick run play. The Niners are up 23-7 when Jimmy Garoppolo is just playing fine. The issue is when he dips below that fine point and he starts making bad throws. I mean, back-to-back drives that have that missed throw to Ayuk, and that's such a demoralizing missed play because the 49ers, it's a 3rd and 10. They're looking to drive down the field. They're at their own 24, and they're flipping the field on that play if Ayuk catches it with a chance to go up at least 26-7, maybe 30-7 if you get a touchdown out of it. He overthrows it. The Cowboys are able to get a field goal to make it a 13-point game. And then the interception. And then all of a sudden it's a 6-point game. All the Niners need is Jimmy Garoppolo to be fine. And the Niners, the sky's the limit for them. It's just, unfortunately, it seems like it really feels like the Jimmy Garoppolo's worst moments come when the Niners are in cruise control. So maybe just stop letting Jimmy Garoppolo put the car in cruise control and make sure he's paying attention the whole way through. And keep the foot on the gas and go from there. The Niners just need average Jimmy Garoppolo, and they didn't get it in the second half, and it almost cost them a playoff game.
Well, I'll say this too. A lot of what he did in the first half is the reason that this team won because they wouldn't be ahead with any of those things, and he made plenty of great throws, right? So we can't, we can't dismiss that as well. But I think now there's more of a reason why he played bad because guess what we found out today?
Yep.
Sprained shoulder. Why is it always after one of these weird games that he plays there's an injury?
I feel like we're not questioning anything. He's
probably injured. He's injured.
There's no reason to say he isn't.
I'm not saying he's not. It's just always after one of these games. It's like, man, his arm was hurt too.
But it also feels like he never shows it on the field during the game. And it comes out the next day, or in the case of the Titans game, it comes out 3 days later. It's really weird because usually there's signs and you could see them, favoring these injuries. And as I said, we're not questioning the legitimacy. This is not that type of podcast. We 100% believe he has a sprained shoulder. It's just always interesting that more often than not with Jimmy Garoppolo, when his injuries, outside of the one big one way back when in 2018, it seems he has these injuries and we don't find out about him until the next day. It's weird. It's interesting.
Yeah, and Jonathan, let's not forget Jimmy's playing hurt. I saw him get hit and grab his hand again. Then he threw the pick. I noticed he was different after that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
that's a very good catch. Yeah, I remember that on one of the plays. He had it. I think it was tipped at the line, and he definitely looked at his hand. So yeah, he's definitely playing hurt, and that's something. That's something that always bothered me about last year too, is people questioning, Jimmy Garoppolo's toughness with a high ankle sprain and all that stuff. He tried to play out there, and we're seeing how much he wants to be out there. And like, it's another reason why I think Shanahan likes him, is he knows he's going to get gutsy games out of Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, I mean, just look, he's playing hurt. Everybody is. It's the postseason, and that's it. So I mean, it's just whatever, He's just going to be the starter anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
No.
He's gonna play through it. He's playing through it. So
he's playing on Sunday, or Saturday. That's not like I'm happy I haven't seen any. Oh, is Lance playing on Saturday? Jimmy's fine. Jimmy's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
But as we said, didn't mean to dive into the injury portion too much because I don't think it's a huge story. It's good to know in context. But I just think the big key here is Jimmy Garoppolo was good in the first half, and in the second half, it's different. And unfortunately, it's a postseason trend at this point with Garoppolo because, I know Jordan sent it to us. I know I saw somebody tweet Garoppolo's fourth quarter stats in postseason play.
Josh Dubois.
Is that who it was? And you make a point and I'll find that exact tweet for you.
Yeah, it's not glowing numbers, but again, the 49ers have won almost all of those games that he hasn't performed well in the fourth quarter for whatever reason, or whether they didn't need him to, or they just weren't asking him to. But yeah, I mean, again, the overarching theme is the guy finds a way to win the game, and that's all it is. At this point, this is all it should be in the playoffs, is find a way to win the game. And it doesn't matter how it happens. You don't get style points. This isn't college football where style of win is going to push you up the rankings and things like that. It's just win, score as many points, move on, survive, and keep doing the same thing over and over. So it is what it is. Like, that's it, man.
Jimmy Garoppolo in the fourth quarter of his 4 playoff starts for the 49ers, 9 for 20, 93 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 19.4 quarterback rating. That's the lowest fourth quarter playoff quarterback rating in the last 30 years. 2-start minimum. That's at Josh Dubois AP. And yeah, as you said, the Niners are 3-1 in those 4 games.
The one game is the Super Bowl, and that's where those interceptions came. Those other ones, the game was over. Those games were in hand. It was over. So again, there's a little bit of context and nuance that you need to throw into that. You can't just look at those raw numbers and say this is what it is. No, this is what it is with him being injured. They won this game, but the other two, the Vikings game and the Packers game, that game was well in hand in those games. And then obviously the Super Bowl is what it is. But yeah, like that number doesn't look great when you look at the raw numbers, but that you need context. That's it. You need context.
Yeah, the Niners find ways to win the games, and it is what it is. Obviously, like here's my thing with the whole, like, just as a whole with the Jimmy Garoppolo conversation. I know that we live in a league where everybody wants an elite quarterback. Oh God, what comment? PFF Elite member is going to be the new. Hey, thank you. I don't have PFF Elite yet though, so
he's out. Axel,
I'm out actually. Yeah, honestly, if you want my honest answer of what the Cowboys should do, I know they have money. They could throw that blank check at Jim Harbaugh, but we won't have that conversation today. I forgot where I was. Oh yeah, my thing with the whole Garoppolo thing. I know this is 2022, and everybody wants to have that elite top tier quarterback. I have a hard time really complaining about what Garoppolo does and Niners wins, because that's what it comes down to. As fun as it would be to have a Patrick Mahomes and probably win that game 42-17 or whatever it might be. The Niners won, and Jimmy Garoppolo, yeah, his game is a conversation point, but as long as that final score is in the positive, to me, it is what it is. Now, if let's say the draw play where Dak Prescott, let's just say hypothetically, he snaps the ball at 1 second and gets the spike off in time and they score from the 24-yard line. Now we're talking about the interception in a different light, and we're talking about the missed throw in a different light. But at the end of it, the Niners are in the divisional round and the Cowboys aren't, and that's all the Niners could have asked for. If Garoppolo had 450 yards, if Garoppolo had 50 yards, and that was the case, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you get it done, just get it done. And Jimmy Garoppolo has been the guy who, wins most of those games. And and again, you can't talk about what happened in the second half without talking about what he did in the first half, where he was largely sharp and the offense was moving. You'd like to see some of those field goals turn into touchdowns, but that's just not how the league works. And those guys on the other side get paid too on defense, and they make plays. But yeah, I mean, look, again, complaining about Jimmy Garoppolo in a win is not the way to do it at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, especially in that crazy way that game ended. Yeah. I did not have that game end and say, man, Jimmy Garoppolo threw an interception. Dude, that was the last thing I was thinking about that entire time. I was just thinking about how happy I was for the team to move on. That's it.
Sin, were you at the game yesterday? What was she?
She was.
She was. That's pretty dope. Marketing
Pro. What happened to 42-3 Cowboys? Are you gonna predict the Packers this week too? Because you're wrong a lot, bro. Jesus.
Wait, Marketing Pro. Wait a second. Marketing Pro, and this is all I'm gonna say before we go to our next subject. If you're a Rams fan, why are you watching this podcast right now? The Rams have a playoff game. Go watch your favorite team play in a playoff game. Oh, he's also watching it, but go focus on that 100%, my guy. Enjoy your team. Don't worry about what the Niners are doing. We'll meet you in the conference championship, and then it'll be 7 in a row. That's okay.
Wait. But no, hold up. I'm taking them to task for you was popping all that. What happened? I thought Dallas 42-3. 12 touchdowns for Dak Prescott. You're wrong a lot, bro. You're wrong a lot, man. Jeez. I know you're a faceless account on here, but you're wrong a lot, bro. Like a lot.
Can I ask a question? And I thought about this today. So the Cowboys' last drive, right? They kind of walked down the field because the Niners are playing prevent defense. And this is a segue to D'Amico Ryans.
Yeah.
They play prevent defense, and I love Marketing Pro.
Oh boy, you should have been here a little bit earlier, man. If you know anything about the rest ain't nobody, bro.
We talked about that already, Marketing Pro.
Go rewind that one. There's no cheating when it's a false start that's obvious. There's no cheating when there's a delayed game. There's no cheating when you don't hand the ball to the referee. So, one, you're a casual who doesn't know the rule book. 2, you're rooting for a team that is going to beat some fraudulent team from Arizona, and you wish that you were playing us. And you're wrong again this past week, 42-3. It's really, you down bad. You're down horrendous, right? Like down horrendous at this point, bro. Like I know it's a joke, like you're trolling and all that stuff, but you're just down horrendous. It's so good. I'm so happy. And this is the last time I'm giving you any air. The chat's about to pick you apart. We're done.
This is my odd segue to D'Amico Ryans by taking a shot at Mike McCarthy, kind of. The Cowboys down 6 points with a minute left. They have to drive down, and they're moving the ball down the field because the Niners are playing prevent defense. And I've always been in the big belief of prevent defense prevents you from winning. But did D'Amico Ryans play 4D chess playing prevent defense? Because if he doesn't play prevent defense the whole way down, there's no chance in hell the Cowboys are calling that quarterback draw in that situation, because it's obvious they're just trying to pick up as much yardage as they can. Did D'Amico Ryans 4D chess Mike McCarthy into making the quarterback draw call?
No, I just think that he got really lucky that they have no idea what they're doing, man. They moved up. They moved up like 4 plays with like 10 yards, 15 yards with like 4 seconds off the clock. And I didn't understand the whole portion of not having a guy on the boundary to start there. I don't understand that. And then all of a sudden, when they get on their side of the field is when you went to that. So that one scared me. That one scared me. That one really scared me because that one felt easy. Let them complete whatever it is that they want over the middle of the field and rally to the ball and make them use time. But you allow them to catch whatever they wanted and get out of bounds. That's the situational stuff that if you have that and it's against Green Bay, obviously we've seen how it happened in the home opener. Mm-hmm. Aaron Rodgers is not going to let that slide. Thank God it was the Dallas Cowboys who are terribly coached and have no sort of situational awareness. I get that, but yeah, D'Amico, that one was a little bit scary.
It's not the real conversation about D'Amico Ryans. I know the final score changes things, and the interception changes things too. So I don't even want to knock him for giving up 17 points. I'm going to put that second touchdown or the last touchdown the Cowboys had on the offense, on Garoppolo specifically, because without that interception, totally different conversation. This feels like, and I'm going to mess this up. I'm not great at French, but this is D'Amico Ryans, as they say, piece de la resistance. I think that's the saying.
Yep.
He has no Bosa for majority of the game. He has no Fred Warner for the majority of the second half. And the Niners defense didn't miss a beat. And to me, I think a big conversation point to have, and I feel like we've had it in kind of chunks, is the Niners defense has been playing with fourth and fifth string cornerbacks for a majority of this season. And DeMeco Ryans' defensive schemes and everything he does, it makes that irrelevant. I mean, when was the last time? We haven't really had to talk about the 49ers cornerbacks messing anything up since Josh Norman, was starting. And hey, by the way, we got a chance to talk about that today already because of the fake punt. DeMeco Ryans is just, he's a madman. He is so good at this. I'm going to be really bummed because I'm at a point now where maybe not in 2023, he's going to be a head coach, or 2022, he's going to be a head coach, but I'm at a point where he's going to be a head coach soon. So just get used to him being gone at some point soon. Hopefully the Niners can get another year out of him. But yesterday was his masterpiece. Yesterday was his Mona Lisa. Yesterday was his masterpiece, man.
Yeah. And situational stuff, sending the house at perfect times. And we knew that the way to attack this offensive line of the Cowboys was in the interior. That's why DJ Jones and Eric Armstead had such great games. But now when you're talking about Bosa not being there and you being able to generate 24 pressures, and that was all after, Bosa left the game basically, man. Like they were in the backfield. I think the stat that Rob cited on his show, 46% of Dak Prescott's dropbacks had pressures. Crazy, man. And that is insane. And look, he brought some situational blitzes that I thought was great, especially on that fourth down. He brought the house, brought Jimmy Ward, and made them throw an interception. I mean, they made them throw an incompletion that turned the ball over. So DeMeco Ryans is still doing great things. And we just got to keep our fingers crossed because the 49ers are going to have a tough time winning this game if Bosa and Warner can't play. But they have time, and there was a lot of optimism around that. There's some people that'll tell you that they're not really as optimistic because whatever Kyle Shanahan says, add another 3 weeks to whatever the prognosis is, because there have been guys who have been ready to go that end up on IR the next day. There have been guys who they have no timetable to return. They're back at practice the next day too as well. So, I mean, it is what it is. So, but yeah, let's give it up for DeMeco. Again, situationally, at the end of that game, I have a little bit of issues with that, with the way that he handled it. But in relative, again, you can't harp on the negative when they win the game.
I just hate prevent defense. I always hate prevent defense. Play your defense in the final drive of the game that you've been working all game, and it's going to work. I think the most damning stat, especially with the pressure, from our best friend Jordan Elliott at Splash Cousins. Go follow him on Twitter at /Cousins. He's a great follow, and he's a good friend. I can't wait to play Warzone with him. Cowboys left tackle Tyron Smith only allowed 11 pressures during the regular season. He allowed 7 against the 49ers yesterday.
There you go. And that's without Nick Bosa. And that was a lot of one-on-one stuff, right? And that's a Hall of Famer. That's not just a good player. Like Tyron Smith is not a good player. He's a Hall of Famer. That's the guy that we were saying, well, that's not the guy that you really want to test. You want to get in that guard position. Anybody but Zach Martin, but that center. But that should just go to show you right there the level of this pass rush and how it's clicking. And if other things can click, how hard it becomes to stop this 49ers team, because they can beat you in whatever style you want. If you want to put them in a position where they're going to be fishing for you, like Baldy was saying, sharks in the water, then they'll do that. If you want them to run the ball and control the clock, they will do that. And they'll make Jimmy Garoppolo make certain plays on third down that he was making in the first half that didn't really carry over. But the 49ers have been winning games however you want. Defensive stands at the end of the game, 88 yards in whatever amount of seconds. Shout out the marketing pro. I know you got to see that up close and personal with Jimmy Garoppolo going down the field on you like that. So that's how you win games. However, you win games however it comes to you, right? So, I mean, you need an offensive drive, cool. You need a defensive stand, got it. We've been turning the ball over. We're not getting turnovers, win that game too. All field goals, cool, win the game that way. So they're battle-tested, and they can win however you want to win, however you make them win.
And just add on to the pass rush. 6 different Niners recorded at least half of a sack. O'Manohue had a sack and a half. He had a big sack yesterday. Armstead had a sack. DJ Jones had a sack. Kevin Givens had half a sack. Bosa and Ebukam also have half a sack. And then if you just want to throw in quarterback hits, guys getting to the quarterbacks, K'Wan Williams had a quarterback hit. Al-Shaair, Jimmy Ward, and then Jordan Willis. So, that's the thing I like about DeMeco Ryans' defense, too, is it comes from everywhere. The pressure, you don't know where it's coming from. I remember Tart had a good pressure yesterday as well. the pressure really comes from everywhere. And as I said, I don't have stats to back this up. I don't know if there's even stats out there to say it or anything like that, but it definitely feels like D'Amico Ryans is way more aggressive and he's way less fearing to go away from the norm than what Robert Saleh. Robert Saleh was just kind of a chalk it up, normal defense is nothing too crazy. He'll throw in a blitz every so often, more often than not, as 4-man pressures. D'Amico Ryans isn't afraid to go to the heat. He's not afraid. What do we call Greg Williams? Dr. Heat? Is that what we call them for the zero pressure or whatever the hell it was against?
I guess.
I'm forgetting things. But yeah, against the Raiders. And D'Amico Ryans called one of those yesterday and it hit. So like it's D'Amico Ryans is good, and I'm gonna miss him when he's a head coach for the Vikings next year. It's gonna be really sad.
Not next year, the year after that.
It'll be the year after that. Yeah,
it'll be the year after that. Yeah, but I think one thing that kind of concerns me, and we could talk about coaching, special teams is a big concern at this point. I mean, everyone in the world knew that was going to be a fake punt. I mean, Bones Fossil is like that is what he's known for, and they needed a spark. And literally everyone in the stadium but this team, but Josh Norman, who just completely has been, I don't care about what my assignment is. I'm just going to do whatever the hell I want to do. And then, getting cooked by a punter, it's just like chef's kiss, all of those things. But special teams, you can't mess around. And I don't – the special teams is more of a roller coaster than Jimmy Garoppolo because they've been bad more than they've been good.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't say that necessarily for Jimmy all season. Yeah. I can't say that. Special teams is a problem, and I don't know what they can do at this point. How many closed door meetings are you going to have with normal things in terms of this is your assignment, don't blow it? That like those type of things. If someone pulls off that fake punt, if that's Seattle and they pull off that fake punt and then they score right there, then the game erodes quickly. You better just thank God that it was Dallas and they're so poorly coached that they have no idea what they were doing.
What's actually funny is the drive before the fake punt. The Cowboys had a 4th and 2 at their own 33, and I was convinced like they were going to fake that one. And I was so convinced they were going to fake that one that I didn't see the fake coming on the second one. I was actually totally blown away by that one. And I know the field position is a little different, being at your own 48 compared to your own 33. That's a huge change. But yeah, and I mean, I was looking at stats, and I don't have it fully. I think the big thing that you've really tipped me onto, Jason, personally, is the amount of times the Niners try to do the stupid little, and I'm calling it stupid because I've seen it not work so many damn times at this point, where instead of just kicking the ball through the end zone for touchbacks on kickoffs, they try to do the little pooch, pin them back at the 1 yard line and make them return it. It never works. I don't remember the last time it worked. And I'm going to actually go through, and I'll probably send this out in a tweet. I'm going to go through the drives where there were touchbacks and the drives there weren't on the kickoffs and see kind of what the Cowboys offense did in those drives. But it definitely felt like when the Cowboys started at their own 25 on touchbacks, the Niners defense held them well. But I mean, I know they had a drive. I think one of their drives started. I think their touchdown drive started because they had a return out to the 33-yard line. And that's their first touchdown drive. So like things like that. And not to rag too hard on special teams because they did win. Let's say something positive. Robbie Gould consistent with the 2 50-yard field goals. Keep doing that. It shouldn't be something we're celebrating in 2022 that the Niners kicker hit 2 50-yard field goals, because 50-yard field goals are more consistent than they used to be. That's where the NFL is. The Niners haven't felt like they've had a consistent 50-yard guy in a long time. Like Akers was okay, but he kind of faded in his last couple of years with the Niners. So it's good to see Robbie Gould kind of consistent on those long field goals yesterday. So I'll end the special teams talk on something positive, but it's definitely concerning, especially on the kickoff unit.
Shout out to Robbie Gould. That's back-to-back weeks. Where would they be without his punts? Where would they be without his 2 50-yard field goals? So yeah, hey, keep shutting me up, buddy. I mean, I'm good with it. All I ask is just you do your job, and that's exactly what he's been doing these last 2 weeks. So yeah.
Yeah, and something interesting too, and then we could talk. I want to talk about the run game just a little bit. But something interesting to note that I didn't even pay attention to until about halfway through. Robbie Gould was the kickoff guy yesterday.
Yeah.
So he replaced Wisnowski. So I think that's good because I trust Gould's ability to pound it through for the touchback on the kickoff. And I'm just talking kickoffs in general.
Mm-hmm.
I trust him more to to get the touchbacks on those kickoffs. I'm gonna hard transition to the run game. It's good. 38 carries, 169. I'm gonna call it 37 for 168 because Garoppolo had 1 carry for 1 yard. Elijah Mitchell, just the model of consistency, 27 carries, 96 and a tutty. And Deebo Samuel, like I remember specifically after K'Wan Williams interception, which by the way, shout out that's a huge play for the Niners.
Jersey.
I said to my friend, because I talked to my friend while I watched these games, I said, they're at the 26-yard line, take a shot to the end zone, see what happens. And then they handed it off to Deebo. And I said, well, that's kind of their shot to the end zone because Deebo's so good running the ball. And then he scores the touchdown. He's the guy you want to get the ball to. Jonathan, thank you for the donation. Good to agree. It's one thing to criticize the player, but it's another to disrespect them. We will dominate the line of scrimmage and win. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's where Jason and I try and stand at, right? We try and criticize them, but be respectful. And sometimes, other places don't. We try our best to do it. But yeah, Elijah Mitchell model consistency. Deebo Samuel, the best offensive weapon in the NFL. Get him an MVP vote, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this Elijah Mitchell game, it's not really the model of like ripping off huge runs. Like it started very well. The script was beautiful, but I mean, when you look at it, it's like 21 for like, what is it? Like 97. That looks very similar to the first Rams game where it was just, it was about moving the offense and just getting and keeping the offense on schedule. Wasn't necessarily ripping off big runs, but he's just been incredible, man. And Deebo Samuel is the best offensive weapon in the league, man. Stop playing with that, man. He literally, after the K1 interception, looked at Kyle Shanahan and told him, get me the ball. And Jimmy echoed those sentiments, and then Kyle backed it up in the same press conference and said, I saw him mouth something to me, something about get him the ball, and he had that look in his eye, and boom, touchdown. So, yeah, I mean, give Deebo Samuel that credit, man, and imagine having a weapon like that where you can line him up anywhere. And somebody from PFF put up a really funny stat that obviously will never happen, but if you extrapolate Deebo Samuel's running numbers over a 17-game season, he would have something like 2,100 yards, 42 touchdowns, and 117 broken tackles. Seriously. And obviously, you would never be able to continue that. But I think that goes to show how efficient he's been in his limited touches. So special player, special season. And I don't think that's the last time that we're going to be talking about Deebo Samuel in this episode.
Well, just to give you an idea of how trusted he is as the Niners running back, 3rd and 10, 121 left in the game. The Niners are up 23-17, and the Cowboys have 1 timeout. Shanahan can call a pass to try and get the first down and risk the Cowboys having 1 timeout going into their last drive. No, he calls a shotgun run for Deebo Samuel, and he gets what? 9.9999 yards on that run, and he falls just short of the first down. But that just goes to show how much trust Kyle Shanahan has in Deebo Samuel as a runner, but we already know the trust he has in him as a receiver. It's insane to me how like it felt like there was a slow build to what Deebo Samuel is this year, because we've seen him used as like what was the words we were calling him earlier last year? The gadget player. He's running gadget plays. Kyle Shanahan said, nah, F that. This isn't gadget anymore. This is just what the offense is. And it's been really cool because we've just seen the evolution before our eyes. We saw a little bit of it, a lot of end arounds in 2019 with Deebo Samuel. 2020, he was hurt, but they kind of stayed the same end around type stuff. And this year, Shanahan said, nah, we're just going to use our best offensive player to do everything.
Yeah, and, newsflash, getting the ball in your playmaker's hands, good idea.
Very weird idea. How that works, right?
Right. And when you look at how creatively they get him the ball, and we're talking about the window dressing that moves people out of spots and moves eyes and gets these cutback lanes, and what they're doing right now with the toss straight back, which is using your under pursuit or over pursuit against you to create a cutback lane. It's high level stuff with just small details changed out. And when you have a player as dynamic who is playing at the level that Deebo Samuel is, get him the ball as many times as you can. Empty the tank. This is win or go home in every game. So there's no need to lighten the workload. And if you got a shot, hit that home run.
Do you have any last points you want to make before we get to 3 stars? I think we got everything.
Azeez Al-Shaair started with Fred Warner.
Yeah,
not Dre Greenlaw. So that should tell you
just give you an idea of
just to tell you where we're at. And obviously. And obviously, when Fred goes down, it is a nice pivot to have Azeez Al-Shaair and Dre Greenlaw,
Yeah.
in that spot. Very nice pivot. Again, a very good thing for 49ers fans is that you have 3 very good linebackers.
Yeah, listen, man, I don't want to sound mean to anybody, but if it took you until the wild card weekend to realize Azeez Al-Shaair is better than Dre Greenlaw and deserves the starting spot, I don't know where you've been all season. Nothing against Dre Greenlaw. He's a solid player, but I think I like him better in the third spot in the linebacker situation than I do in the second. That's all it is. Jason, I think that was a very damn good episode we just had, and we're going to get to 3 stars. So, like, claps to us. If you guys like this episode, I did. I felt like this was such a good episode. I would go subscribe to Jason Aponte's YouTube channel if I hadn't already. That's how good of an episode it was to me. So if you haven't, go subscribe, like this channel, show us how much you love it, and share it to all your friends. Valentine's Day is coming up. My girlfriend said the gift I want from my wonderful boyfriend, Andrew Pasquini, is a subscription to Jason Aponte's YouTube channel. Give the gift of love, a YouTube subscription to Jason Aponte's YouTube channel. 3 stars, Jason. Who's your third star?
My third star is DJ Jones. And he's just been incredible. This is exactly where you should have been attacking them, is on the interior. And he's softening the blow of what we don't know about Javon Kinlaw day after day. And he is shooting up the ranks as must re-sign and bring back. He was ascending. He got injured. Now he's turning into that player that I think a lot of people want Javon Kinlaw to be. And it's just, again, a very nice problem to have while we are trying to figure out, one, the severity of Javon Kinlaw's injury, how long it'll take him to get back, when he'll round into shape. It's very nice to know that DJ Jones is there. He's been playing incredibly well week after week. It's been a great season for him. Proud of DJ Jones and happy for his progression.
I am going to go Charles Omenihu. I'm going to go another player on the line. A sack and a half yesterday. It feels like he just kind of pops up in big situations. His sack was in a big situation yesterday. I really think any sack in postseason play is a big sack because sacks are so demoralizing to an offense. Just in general, you're expecting to move the ball upfield with a pass, and now you're going back 8 yards. So Charles Omenihu is going to be my third star. He had a pretty good game, 3 quarterback hits as well. He was getting back in the backfield pretty consistently. So I will go Charles Omenihu. Who's your second star, Jason Aponte?
The offensive line for the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, we talked all week about Micah Parsons. I mean, and the bullies get bullied. No, you get bullied. You never really believe that. You're not built like that. Your team is not built like that. That was a lot of chit chatter, yip yapping, and we all knew that. But this offensive line kept Jimmy Garoppolo in good spots. They were doing a great job run blocking. When you add Trent Williams back into that mix, this offensive line is built to withstand whatever. I mean, we were worried that Micah Parsons was going to get his fair share of time on one certain player. Didn't matter. They kind of moved him around, but he got pushed out of the way many times by this offensive line, by George Kittle, by this run game. So this offensive line was very, very good in this game.
I am going to go DeMeco Ryans. I'm going to do what Jason did a couple weeks ago and go with a coordinator. DeMeco Ryans, he's good. He's good. I know he started, a lot of people questioned him earlier in the season because he was the new guy. What he's done with this defense, and I mean, especially yesterday, because the cornerback situation has always been the thing all season. All season, it's been the thing. But yesterday, he lost his 2 best players on his defense. Like, plain and simple. Nick Bosa and Fred Warner are the Niners' 2 best defensive players. He didn't have them, and it's almost like it didn't matter. I mean, this final score, and I'm not going to name names, but positivity because we're in 3 stars, but take away 1 turnover, and the final score is probably 23-10, 26-10, 30-10, whatever happens on that drive. DeMeco Ryans is phenomenal, and as I said, I've said it multiple times this podcast, I'm going to miss him when he's a head coach, whenever he is, because I asked yesterday, fact or fiction, DeMeco Ryans is already better than Robert Saleh was at his best with the Niners. And I'm leaning more fact the more I've had the chance to sit with it. I know you said fiction, and I know it's a little prisoner of the moment thing. That's okay. I knew it was kind of a wild take, but
not really.
It's not wild, but it's just, it's Robert Saleh was very good. And I think the fact that we're even mentioning DeMeco Ryans' name with Robert Saleh at this point in his first season, like I think he's done something right. So DeMeco Ryans is my second star. Jason Aponte, you hinted it earlier, and I think I'm going to agree with you. So Jason Aponte, for about the 14th time in 18 games. Your number one star on the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
Deebo Samuel. I
Go ahead.
mean, dude, anytime you need a play, anytime you need anything that you ever ask of him, I mean, what else are we going to say about this guy? You know the ball's coming to him. You know that he's going to get the ball. You still can't do anything about it. They attacked this secondary that could not tackle, and he ran through them. And he's just I'm running out of ways to describe him. What a season. I don't remember a season like this from anyone in the NFL. I mean, and he has the numbers to back that up. These are striking numbers that have never been duplicated in terms of how many receiving yards, how many rushing touchdowns, how many rushing yards, things that haven't been done in this league. And then, man, I know this has nothing to do with football, but the young gentleman from Nickelodeon who interviewed him after the game. Yes, young Dylan.
Young Dylan.
Man, what a moment. One, that kid is going to be a superstar one day, for sure. The kid's confidence, bravado in that moment. Yeah, he's going to be a superstar. But two, the humbleness of Deebo Samuel to be able to talk with the kid, and the kid asked him a question about, well, is this the year that the 49ers are going to take it all? And he goes, I believe so. He goes, but one game at a time. I know that has nothing to do with football. That was just a really cool moment, and just speaks to the character of the player, man. Deebo Samuel's been a joy to watch. Oh, also, guys, anybody who's in the chat that is now telling me that the Cardinals are collapsing, I wonder who could have seen something like that coming.
If only we said it like 7 weeks ago about Cliff Kingsbury.
If only someone could have alerted people to the fact that Cliff Kingsbury is a known fraud, man.
Wait, we're just throwing the F word out like that? Okay.
He's been a fraud. If you look at his numbers in every single year that he has coached in December, from college to Arizona, he has lost games. He does not finish well, and this is a fraud. I got everything in my drafts. Because you 49ers fans out there that were, well, look at Cliff. He might be better than Kyle. Oh, I'm coming for y'all. I am coming for y'all. Because don't ever disrespect Kyle like that ever again. Cliff Kingsbury's a fraud. And Kyler Murray is going to take the brunt of this because he's not playing well. But Cliff is a bum. Let's go to your talk on your Deebo Samuel portion.
Yeah, Deebo Samuel's very good. And that's my conversation point. No, I'm joking. What he does for this offense, and then we've said it so many times. As I said, the interception by K-Wad Williams is a huge play. And Kyle Shanahan's first instinct is like, let's just get the ball in our best player's hands and just see what he can do. And it's a run left to right. And I feel like all the important runs from Deebo Samuel go left to right, last week being the pass play. Obviously, that's not a run, but he throws it going left to right. But he kind of gets stonewalled, right? The Cowboys do a good job closing the gap they were trying to run through. And he's like, his vision as a wide receiver who is playing the running back position is insane. He's able to cut back, find that hole, and he's gone. Like the second he finds that hole, I don't think I've ever seen a player I've been more confident in with 3 yards of space than Deebo Samuel, because he's able to he's able to make nothing out of something. Or God, I said that backwards. He's able to make something out of nothing. And he does it more often than he doesn't. He's such a good player. And what he is in avoiding tackles is what George Kittle is at running through tackles. Like, you know, he's going to make at least one guy miss. Like, you know, George Kittle's just going to run through one guy every play. Deebo Samuel is very good. Please get him one MVP vote.
Yeah, one MVP vote. But yeah, what a season. And also honorable mention, Brandon Ayuk. Keep smoking that boy's boots. Keep smoking that boy's boots. Trevon Diggs, you were getting put into other counties trying to keep up with Brandon Ayuk. And
can I make a point on Diggs? Can I ask a dumb question?
It's not a dumb
Diggs
question.
Real quick. To me, isn't 11 interceptions a little bit of a misleading stat? Because I feel like that's a sign that, yeah, you have a lot of interceptions, but they're still throwing the ball at you. Like to me, I feel like the most respectful thing about, or not, the thing I respected the most about Richard Sherman is, yeah, his low interception numbers, but that's because nobody would ever throw the ball to him. So like, he never got the chances. So like, isn't it kind of like a double entendre? I don't think that's the right word. I don't think I'm using, I try to use big words sometimes. It never works.
It's a double-edged sword. And you live with the yards because you get those game-changing interceptions.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So here's an example I'll give you. What if there's a drive where Trevon Diggs gets hit for a 40-yarder and then a 20-yarder, and then in the red zone, he intercepts the ball and takes it back for a pick six? Are you okay with that? And that's sort of what they got to live with. I'm going to make an analogy to someone that is very near and dear to your heart in terms of how he plays cornerback, the Jameis Winston of cornerbacks. It's going to be something very great or sometimes just not as good. So, I mean, it is what it is. They've learned to live with the yards and everything because he makes interceptions. But in terms of the numbers, he gave up the most. And real quick to James' comment here, Cliff fired if Arizona loses? No. I don't think so. But they're going to have to start looking at, hey, dude, 3 years in a row, you're here in December. You won like one game in December. And the Arizona Cardinals, they actually beat the Dallas Cowboys, as well that in this month or the month before. But yeah, they're just, it just is what it is. There's too much of a pattern, too much of a sample size from different leagues to just know that Cliff may start off hot like they do, but it never finishes that way. And that's why I wasn't worried about all those things. A one and done. They are about to get bounced from the playoffs and the 49ers have a game past them. I don't give a damn what their record was that was better. Now who's laughing? Like that's the wild part about Arizona.
So what's next for the San Francisco 49ers, Jason Aponte? How about a date at the most iconic playoff stadium in NFL history? It's Lambeau Field in January, 9 degrees at kickoff. Of feel like -3. A lot of Niner fans think the Niners own the Packers. They weren't discouraged by what they saw in Week 3 at Levi Stadium, and this is the date the Niner fans wanted, a date with Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur in Green Bay, Wisconsin in the postseason.
Yeah, and we'll get to talking about that, and we have a lot of time for that. I have a lot of time to deep dive. I've got my Bobby Peters book. I'm going to go look and take a look at them, and, I'll be in the bag with that, but what I do want to say is cram it up your cram hole, LaFleur. Prepare to be embarrassed on national television.
Matthew, it doesn't look like it's going to snow in Green Bay. It's supposed to be sunny and partly cloudy. It won't be sunny because it'll be nighttime, but it'll be partly cloudy in Green Bay. So yeah, so that's where the Niners stand. We're going to have a preview like we do every week on Friday. Last thing I want to say, the Nickelodeon broadcast was fun. It was electric, a lot of slime. The one thing I didn't like, though, is they didn't mention interception or injuries. They did not. I had no idea what was going on with Bosa. I had no idea what was going on with Warner. They didn't mention any of it. But young Dylan, so by the way, back to talking about young Dylan, because I like talking about young Dylan. I think he was better than Lex Lumpkin. Lex Lumpkin last year, he did the sideline. I have the video of him butchering Mitch Trubisky's name. Young Dylan, I shit you not, Jason, had a chain on that was iced out. It was a YD for young Dylan. I'm pretty sure that kid had a chain around his neck that cost more than I've made in my entire life.
Young King, he's on his way, man.
He's on his way. He definitely was very confident with everything. And by the way, I do want to say, whoever's listening from Fox, NBC, CBS, ESPN, any broadcast, because I know like Booger McFarland's always in the chat. He watches his show every week. Hire Nate Burleson. Nate Burleson is so damn good. And I know the Nickelodeon game, he has to sit there and explain the game. But just the way he explains it, because he's talking to kids on that broadcast, but the way he explains it, he's so clear and concise with his thoughts. He is so good at what he does in that game. I want to see what he can do on I'm using the word adult, on an adult broadcast. That feels weird to say.
So he's not in the booth, but he's hired by CBS. He does CBS Today, and he does Good Morning America. So,
let's get him in the booth.
We'll see about that. That's harder. Drew Brees was fumbling the bag heavy.
It is, but he does the game on Nickelodeon. He's the color commentator on Nickelodeon, and he does really good.
Can we talk about this? For anybody who had to watch that horrific Bucs-Eagles game, the only thing that came out of that game was Troy Aikman going on that rant about why we're here and why I'm not covering this game with San Francisco and Dallas during the broadcast.
Really? Did he say that?
Yeah. Yes, he did. He looked dead in the camera. I don't know why we're here, man. We should be watching San Francisco and Dallas. Get worked, you bum. They let Romo do it. You get worked too. Both of you get worked. Take those L's.
Perfect, man. That's good. Yeah, I didn't really watch that. That game did not look interesting at all in Tampa Bay. And the Niners, speaking of Tampa Bay, You know how cool it would be if the 6th seed San Francisco 49ers go into Dallas and beat the Dallas Cowboys, and then they go into Lambeau and they beat Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers, and then they go into Tampa Bay and beat Tom Brady, and then they go into Super Bowl and avenge that loss against Patrick Mahomes. A boy can dream, and we'll see if that's where it goes, but it'd be pretty cool. Jason, I'm looking a little too far ahead. I just want to talk about Friday. We will be back here on Jason Aponte's YouTube channel Friday, 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you're not good at remembering that, and that's okay, because I forget dates and times. Jason has to text me every time we do an episode and say, Andrew, remember, we have that podcast we do together. Don't forget today. If you're afraid you're going to forget, Friday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the 49ers Packers preview, subscribe, notifications, Jason Aponte YouTube channel. You see how I add that in at the very end, Jason Aponte? As always.
Let's go Niners. And how's it feel, Dallas?
How about them 49ers?
Woo! Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners.